recycler birthday with the package from China. So let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. Today's video we are going to be doing a chit chat about the Powkiddy, the V10. Yes, this comes in different kind of colors, purple, white, other. With others not getting any handheld at all. There's nothing in the inside, no. However, this is the V10 and this is a device that I've been, let's say, looking forward to check out and showcase here on the channel. So first of all, the product instructions. So yeah, 2 languages with quite some overall good explanation how everything works and how you need to install games and etc. No toilet paper today. So what makes this thing interesting? And yeah, first of all, Powkiddy, for the people who have no idea, Powkiddy is a company that makes all kinds of random handhelds, and this is exactly one of them. So the form factor is interesting, and I mean in particular when you're looking at the way how this thing is, there is no analog stick. We're just having an interesting, very strange white, let's say, when I say white screen, but a white overall configuration. The volume control is over here. We're having a very nice D-pad when it comes to the feel, very wibbly, and it's just mostly like flat, like don't have any curve of whatsoever. Clickies, select and start, front-facing speaker. The ABXY, they are not going to be the best one out there. I can just feel it, and I mean particularly the way how they are having the travel, but also the form factor itself. At the bottom we're finding the SD card, the audio jack. And they are not using these very cheap, okay, SIA POI. I've never heard of it, but hey, it's always better than like a really non-branded SD card. Let's be very careful. Let's stick it back in. Why am I always fighting with these things? I will put it back in later. However, we're having in here the back buttons. And the back button configuration, that is kind of cool. Like you can see, like they're having this very ergonomic thing going on over here. All of them are like micro switch. When you're going to be holding the device, you can just feel how easy that it is for actually using this. At the top we're finding 2 USB-C ports, the reset and the on and off switch, and that's it. And of course we can remove the battery cover. And what is great with this thing, so this thing comes with a 3000 milliamp, will give you a couple of hours of gameplay, but the thing is you can remove it if you want to and replace it. I do wonder if you can put in a bigger one, because there is a lot of space that we still have, but however 3000 is most of the time more than enough. If you're having a full charge, we can play it for a very long time. So let's put this freaking SD card in. The device itself comes pre-installed with Arc OS. After booting up, it will take a little bit of time, Arc OS 2.0 in this case, but take note, if you're going to be buying this later on, it is highly possible you will get yourself like a different kind of software, also what kind of vendor. But what can we actually play and what is this thing all about? Specification wise, it's not bad at all with the Cortex A35. Then it has a 3.5-inch display, IPS panel with a resolution of 480 by 320, 3000 mAh battery that gives us around 8 hours plus minus of game time. But let's take a close look at the menu and how everything looks. So first of all, this thing is capable of running a lot of different systems. I love the way how the Arc OS works. I've been checking it out on different devices too. So thanks to the community, we don't need to forget that we have the option to play so many different devices now. Of course with the limitation of the buttons, but also particularly with the joysticks, maybe some systems will not be playable. But I think, why do you actually need to buy this for? I think if we're going to be looking at some 8-bit, 60-bit, but maybe it's for PlayStation, we can all play it over here. So it's kind of cool having even Doom, or at least there is no Doom game, but you can add ports of that. And the options are, I wouldn't say endless, but we do have like all kinds of different, let's say, platforms that we can use in combination with kind of, let's say, apps. You can deep dive into this, make a favorite list, and that's one of the things I love about this device. You can make a favorite list and have like hours of time that you can play. And here we are finding all of the games very easily to search through. Pressing start, here we're having the display settings. We can adjust the brightness if you want to. I think you need to press A. UI settings, we can go into there if you want to change the UI, if you want to get into the emulator settings, sound settings, you name it. There is all kinds of cool stuff you can change out. Emulator settings can be changed out from here, and there are all kind of advanced settings if you want to. So when you're looking at it, there is so much stuff you can actually mess around with, or just leave it as it is. Okay, so one thing I find already very nice about this is that we have the aspect ratio going on. Meaning that we do have the option to implement bezels and do filters if you want it. Just wanted to see out of the box how it will run. or the audio itself doesn't sound like the best. But this has to do with the game itself, but also when it comes to the emulator. But next up, let's try the D-pad and see how that actually works in fighting games. So the overall performance is absolutely great, and the D-pad, man oh man, this is such a very nice D-pad to play. However, you need to get used to it again because of the long travel, but you can see that for me, first try, no problem whatsoever. So when it comes to gaming and playing, I was also surprised of the speaker in the middle, that it sounds quite nice. Normally I just want to have like configuration of two speakers, they're giving a little bit of better audio, let's say stereo effect, but this, no, there's nothing to complain there. So they did an amazing job at this. And this is a very cool tiny device to play the fighting games with. So let's choose a different main game. Oh man, I love this basic 64 Street beat 'em up. We just see the look into how we're going to play this. How does it run? And so far, everything seems to be working just fine when it comes to the D-pad. Very pleasant to play. So besides great for fighting games, it's also going to be fine for the beat 'em up games. But overall, I'm quite surprised by how it all works. And that is the way actually how we can just exit the game itself. So moving on to some PC Engine, many games can be played on this device without any problem. So I also wanted to try out a shmup to see how this actually works. Doesn't really improve my gameplay, but the D-pad is quite loose, so it's very interesting to see how we can play. But I need to get used to some of the games, but with the shmup it's going to be the big one to actually have a little bit of a learning curve to it. But beside that, emulation is just perfect. Super NES or the Super Famicom is the 16-bit era with many great games, fun to revisit and run without any problem whatsoever. I just tried out a beat 'em up on MAME just to see. I just needed to try out and revisit this old game. Audio wise, I wish they went for a different approach, but the audio quality is quite good. Did notice a little bit difference between the emulators like always. Already said that the D-pad is great for beat 'em up games. Still need to also get used to the buttons over here when it comes to the ABXY. They're not my favorite ones when it comes to that, but besides, like, the overall gameplay emulation is great. So at this point we have been checking out a lot of, let's say, basic 8-bit, 16-bit stuff. But so far I don't notice any problems, and this can be a very nice contender for a low budget emulation solution and just experiencing the old school games. No weird thing going on with the audio itself. Next thing we're going to be doing is getting into the bonus stage. But where the D-pad is just amazing for, let's say, some kind of games, I keep noticing that I need to get used to it. So I must say that when it comes to playing with this, will this be my favorite handheld? It's very difficult to say with a good reason, because there are so many different handhelds out there. Think about Mio, Mini, and stuff like that. They have amazing D-pads. But is this from this Powkiddy my favorite one? I think not. Another system I just love to try out is PlayStation 1. Of course, we have so many great games. They can just play just fine with the D-pad itself. We have reached into the level of, let's say, handhelds that we can just actually play all of these PlayStation 1 games without any problem whatsoever. But if you're more like an analog or joystick player, you will not be very happy with this device itself. But out of the box, what I mentioned before in, let's say, the overview, I can reach into the back buttons fairly easy. Oh, that didn't help. Okay, we can change the camera, but particularly when it comes to jumping, yeah, this is very pleasant. So playing these old school PlayStation games, man, this is absolutely a blast to the past, but in a very positive way. But where this, like say, device shines its best is going to be playing Game Boy Advance games. Yeah, this is just going to be the most, what I almost say, open experience, but due of, like say, the screen size and everything, this is just going to be a very awesome way to play. So I think if you're a big fan of the Game Boy Advance and you're searching for a device to emulate and play your games, yeah, this is maybe the handheld you should pick. This with a simple reason because of the display size and the original resolution. This is just a very cool overall experience. And I've been playing on a lot of different devices lately, but this, for the money you're paying for it, this is maybe the best Game Boy Advance deal you can actually get. And of course, there are a gazillion other handhelds out there that can play Game Boy Advance. But I think particularly when it comes to the screen size, everything, the form factor, yeah. I see that the back button do anything. Yeah, I think not with this game. Because it's just such a great handheld for Game Boy Advance emulation, just let's try another game. And I think for the D-pad again, I can really enjoy myself if I just want to experience and revisit those Game Boy Advance games. And don't get me wrong, if you want to play other games like Sega Genesis or PlayStation 1, you can just also do that perfectly. You will have like tiny bezels at the side because you're also going to be squeezing it to the perfect resolution. You can just all change it out if you want to. That's of course a possibility. But if you want to have the best experience for Game Boy Advance, I think this Powkiddy is going to be the way to go to. The Powkiddy V10 can be a great handheld if you want to get into Game Boy Advance emulation. This is such an overall, let's say, pleasant experience, but also I'm surprised of the overall quality when it comes to Powkiddy, because sometimes it's going to be a hit or miss. So the V10 is of course a device that can play so much more. But if you're going to be looking at everything, the beautiful display and everything else, this is such a fun experience. The D-pad is something I needed to get used to with some of the kind of games, but for fighting games and beat 'em ups, I had no problem whatsoever. Thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of the V10, and sometimes in sales you can pick it up for not a lot of money. And it would just be great to see you in the next video.